Hello students, today I shall be talking about entrepreneurship management. My name is Rishi Chakravarti and I am associated with Assam Downtown University as an assistant professor in the Department of Management. Here the students will learn about the concept of entrepreneurship, economics and entrepreneurship as a process, who is an entrepreneur, entrepreneurship and business, small businesses, and a brief profile about the great entrepreneur of all time, Sir Henry Ford. Concept of entrepreneurship. The concept of entrepreneurship has been around for a very long time. The American system of free enterprise has always engendered the spirit of entrepreneurship. America was discovered and nourished by entrepreneurs, and the United States became a world economic power because of entrepreneurial activities. Today, entrepreneurship constitutes a driving force of the American dream. And we can say that the term entrepreneurship originated from the American society. How is economics related to entrepreneurship? Or what is the relation between economics and entrepreneurship? Well, different economists have defined entrepreneurship in their own ways, thereby bridging the gap between economics and entrepreneurship and bringing the two terms closer to one another. Richard Cantillon, a French economist, is credited with giving the concept of entrepreneurship a central role in economics. In his Essai sur la nature du commerce en général, published posthumously in 1755, he described entrepreneur as a person who pays a certain price for a product to resell it at an uncertain price, thereby making decisions about obtaining and using resources while consequently assuming the risk of an enterprise. Adam Smith spoke of the enterpriser as in his 1776 Wealth of Nations as an individual who undertook the formation of an organization for commercial purposes. He thereby ascribed to the entrepreneur the role of industrialists, but he viewed the entrepreneur as a person with unusual foresight who recognized potential demand for goods and services. Another economist, Jean-Baptiste Say, in his 1803 Traité d'économie politique, described an entrepreneur as one who possessed certain skills and arts of creating new economic enterprise, yet a person who has an exceptional insight into society's needs and was able to fulfill them. In 1848, British economist John Stuart Mill elaborated on the necessity of entrepreneurship in private enterprise. The term entrepreneur subsequently became common as a description of business founders. So we can see that different economists have tried to provide different concepts on entrepreneurship from an economic point of view, where few had said that there are people who could recognize the potential demand for goods and services, and some economists would say that an entrepreneur understands the society's needs and is able to fulfill them, while someone describes an entrepreneur as business founders. So here, economics and entrepreneurship can be considered as two sides of the same coin. Now, entrepreneurship as a process. Entrepreneurship as a process. Now, what we mean by a process? A process is something that keeps on going and it is a flow. It is not stopped. In this context, Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter described entrepreneurship as a force of creative destruction, whereby established ways of doing things are destroyed by the creation of new and better ways of getting things done. He described entrepreneurship as a process and entrepreneurs as innovators who use the process to shatter the status quo through new combinations of resources and new methods of commerce. So the entrepreneurship as a process, and entrepreneurs are innovators because they are the people who keeps on developing new things by shattering the already prevailing norms of the society, right? And establish new ways and new process of doing things. That is why entrepreneurship is considered as a process. Now, who is an entrepreneur? This is, even though by now we understand the concept of entrepreneurship, it is a bit difficult to actually determine who is an entrepreneur. However, Joseph Schumpeter again, in his words, describes an entrepreneur is one who seeks to reform or revolutionize the pattern of production by exploiting an invention, or more generally, an untried technological possibility for producing a new commodity or producing an old one in a new way by opening up a new source of supply of raw materials or a new outlet for production. Entrepreneurship, as defined, essentially consists in doing things that are not generally done in the ordinary code of business routine. Now we come to entrepreneurship and small business. The term entrepreneur may be properly applied to those who incubate new ideas, start enterprise based on those ideas, and provide added value to society based on their independent initiative. Individuals who simply substitute income by leaving jobs to operate local stores or independent businesses are described as small businessmen. So there is a distinguishing factor between entrepreneurship and business, small businesses, right? So entrepreneur develops new ideas, right, and provides value to the society through their own ventures. Whereas a small businessman tend to operate an independent business or a local store. Entrepreneurs have a vision for growth, commitment to constructive change, persistence to gather necessary resources, and energy to achieve unusual results. Whereas a small business person may also exhibit this characteristic, but only coincidentally, not at a prerequisite to establishing an enterprise. So you can say entrepreneurs are visionaries who has a dream of creating something new and contributing effectively towards the development of society and nation, which may not be seen in a small business person. For example, a person who establishes a fast food franchise chain is an entrepreneur, but a local restaurant owner is called a small business person. Now, let me give you a brief idea about the profile of Sir Henry Ford, who is considered the greatest entrepreneur of our times. Starting a decade after most automobile companies had been established in the United States of America, Henry Ford became a manufacturing miracle that launched a modern era in history. His genius was in engineering assembly line process, which was a historic one. Ford reversed the fundamental ways things were manufactured. Rather than have workers go to the product, he bought the product to the workers on highly mobilized assembly lines. Throughout his life, Ford sought to improve the engineering technology of production. He altered inventory systems to move parts and tools to the workers, structured lines with parts moving along waist high so that workers could perform their tasks comfortably, and grouped tasks logically so that more production could be achieved at lower cost. During his lifetime, Ford instituted more than 1,000 innovations at one time and had more Ford automobiles on the road than the rest of the world manufacturers combined. So Henry Ford developed a new way of doing things. He was an innovator who introduced the assembly line in the automotive sector. And today, all automobile manufacturing companies follows this assembly line as pioneered by Sir Henry Ford way back in the 19th century. Thank you.